Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? I'm Immortal MMA. And I had to talk about this. I'm just gonna come out and say it, like, straight up. This is the worst robbery I've seen in history. Now, I'm not, like, as my name suggests, I'm an MMA guy. So if you're like someone who's like a boxer fan who's clicking on this video, know that first. I'm an MMA guy, of course. Immortal MMA. But I do watch boxing. I do watch the bigger boxing matches. I have watched a lot of boxing matches, including a lot of Usyk's matches. I love Usyk. He's one of my favorite boxers. With that being said, this is the worst robbery I have seen ever, point blank, in boxing or in MMA. Maybe that's just because I don't watch enough boxing matches. Maybe there are worse robberies in boxing. Maybe boxing is just completely trash, because this is a horrible Okay, let's get into this. I am talking about Usyk versus Rico Verhoeven for the title. If you know what I'm talking about, if you've seen the clip, I have it pulled up here. I don't know how I'm gonna edit this video. I don't really know. I don't have a camera like other YouTubers to where I can just have it on my face the entire time. So I'm gonna have to edit some images, and obviously I have this clip here. Usyk versus Rico Verhoeven might be, it's as I've said, it's the worst robbery I've ever seen. In a way that it didn't go to the scorecards. It didn't, like, none of that. You'll understand what I mean, and I'll explain everything in detail after this clip. So, it starts out like this. They're in the 11th round. Rico is doing amazing in this fight, by the way. He's doing amazing. He is literally, in my opinion, I watched the fight, he was up. And we'll talk about that later with the scorecards. There's a lot to talk about, but they were in the 11th round at the very end. As you can see, 27 seconds left, and this is how it begins. This is the beginning of the disgrace of boxing. Like that, there's no question about it. This is a complete disgrace and utter embarrassment of boxing. So here he is. Boom! Gets hit with an uppercut. Goes down into the ropes. Right? It's a knockdown. Obviously, the round is going to go to Usyk, 10-8. He gets back up. He doesn't have his mouth guard. He tells the referee right here that he doesn't have his mouth guard. He's like, he shows his teeth. He's like, I need my mouth guard in. So for anyone saying, because I know there's been some comments about, oh, well, he took 20 seconds before they resumed the round because first he got knocked down and then he had the mouth guard situation. That was on the ref, okay? That was on the ref, and the stoppage was also on the ref, and we're gonna talk about this ref in a bit here. But as you can see, there's only like 9 seconds left. They give him time in the corner, get his mouthpiece back. See, boom, a little fumble, get a little bit of extra time. Yes, that's a little, obviously, but resume the fight. He gets hit. Few nice shots. Bell rings, and the ref stops the fight. Bell rings. Usyk punches him maybe like two to three times after the bell rings, and then this guy, I'll try to be nice. This guy comes in here after the bell rings, and after, like, Usyk hits him a few more times after the bell, and he stops the fight. He stops the fight right here. And it's a title fight. It's like this is not only a title. If Rico would have won this, first of all, not only like was this a regular title fight, if Rico would have won this, he would have made history unlike any other. Like, literally, like, people were comparing this to like Buster Douglas versus like Mike Tyson if he would have won. No, it is nothing like that. It is so much more monumentous. Like, this would have been a kickboxer transitioning over, and in his second boxing match ever, he would have had the chance to defeat the current undefeated champion, who has defended his belt multiple times. This would have been the most incredible story ever. Rico Verhoeven would have been known as most likely, in my opinion, the most accomplished combat sports athlete of all time. I know that's kind of crazy to say. The guy has been undefeated in kickboxing for 10 plus years. He has a record of 28-1 inside of Glory Kickboxing, which is, you know, where he was at before moving over. His entire record, like, professionally is like 66-10, I believe. 28-1 in Glory, with his one loss being his second fight ever in Glory. And since then, he's been on this huge tear. No one's ever defeated him. And he transitions to boxing, going up against the heavyweight champion who is undefeated, who has had, you know, before he became professional, he had like 350 fights or something like that, amateur. So this guy's had hundreds of boxing matches, and his second boxing match ever, going up against this guy and winning against him. This same guy who defeated Tyson Fury twice, defeated AJ twice, defeated Dubois twice, all of these people that he's defeated, to be the first person to beat him as a kickboxer coming in on his second fight. And this is how we end it. This ref, I don't know what his name is. Put his name on the screen, future me. Put his name on the screen. This guy. Get him out of the, like, I know it's like, oh, it's his livelihood. It's how he makes money. This is how like, these guys make money. This is their livelihood. Obviously, Rico's gonna get paid for this fight, but this literally would have been history. His legacy, if he would have, like, won this. And I'm not saying he would have. Like, Usyk could have well, like, put him out in the last round. Or they could have robbed him and given the score to Usyk anyways. We'll talk about that in a bit. But this guy right here, this guy literally caused the literally worst robbery I've ever seen in my life. And again, it's not because, like, oh, they made it to the scorecard and it's like a bad robbery because it's like someone won on points that they didn't deserve. No, this guy stopped the fight after the bell rung. And Rico, like, okay, let's talk about it. So, Rico right here, right. So, he's getting tagged up. If you slow this down, if you slow it down in slow motion, I don't know if I can, is there a slow motion on here? Speed. Let me see, go. 25 speed. Okay, so I'm gonna go from the first part right here. So, first jab, cross, that lands. That's a good land. His guard is still up. By the way. Like, Rico is still moving. He's not, like, completely out of it. Right? Guard still up. Gets tagged with this hook. Uppercut slides off the top of his head. Doesn't really connect clean. Rico, again, still has his guard up. Still, you know, he's crouching. He's still, like, actively defending. Another cross makes it right on his jaw. Rico goes for a jab at the same time that Usyk goes for a jab. So he's fighting back also. It's not just that his guard is up. He actively went for a jab, and in a bit here, you'll see that he goes for another, I believe is a hook. So, boom, that kind of misses, it hits the arm. That misses. Rico goes for a hook. So again, his guard is up. He is throwing back with Usyk. And Usyk, although he is landing some of these shots, they aren't like these crazy shots that will put Rico away. He hits a cross. That was a nice cross that he hits. Another hook. Another uppercut. Again, nothing that's too crazy. And as he landed that uppercut, you can hear the bell rings. See, the bell rings as he landed the uppercut. Round is over. The round is over. And then he hits him one more time on the glove, kind of. The ref steps in the way and waves it off. This is a disgrace. One, even if he would have reached Rico before the bell ended, right? Before the bell rung, if he would have reached Rico, stopped the fight, that still would have been one of the worst stoppages I've ever seen. Because again, Rico was intelligently defending himself. He had his guard up. He was throwing back. He threw back 2 punches against Usyk in that flurry that he had. He was still intelligent about his defense. he wasn't getting tagged that clean with the shots either. And the shots that were getting, like, he was getting tagged with, he was still standing. He was still conscious. He wasn't, like, on crazy wobbly legs to where he was gonna, like, get knocked down again. And I've seen, like, just look at the Usyk versus Fury fight, where he rocked Fury, had him wobbling all around the entire ring, you know, trying to use the ropes to keep himself up because he was wobbling so bad, and they let that fight continue. But Rico is in the 11th round. He has done this well, and also, like, if you look at before this fight, like, Rico's career as a kickboxer, he is known for having great recovery. He's been knocked down multiple times. You know, he's been knocked down from head kicks, been knocked down from elbows. He's been knocked down, been hurt really bad, and been able to recover and do well and win those fights that he got rocked in badly. But then in boxing, where he isn't, like, he gets rocked, yes, he gets dropped. It was a bad drop, and it was a really good shot landed from Usyk. But he is, like, he is not out. He is still there. You can still see he's consciously defending. So the fact that this guy, either way, if he would have stopped it before the bell, if he would have, you know, he stopped it after the bell, of course, but if he would have even stopped it before the bell, that still would not be good. That still would have been a horrible stoppage, a horrible robbery for both of the fighters. Because, one, it robs Usyk of a clean win. I know, like, technically it's, like, still counted as a clean win, obviously. But in the eyes of most people that I've seen online, everyone, like, sees this win as tainted because Rico was still in there and it should not have been stopped. So now his win is tainted, and then now Rico doesn't have the chance to be able to go the distance with Usyk, to be able to maybe win against Usyk. And you're robbing him of that because what? Because he was getting hit with shots while also guarding and trying to land back on Usyk? There was no like, oh, he's like completely out and he's you know, his head is down and he's not even defending himself. No, he was literally actively defending himself and trying to fire back shots. You cannot end a fight like that. That should not be how you end a fight, especially a championship fight for the title. Especially when there's been other fights in boxing. There's been boxing matches, even that again, Usyk versus Fury, that have gone similarly, even worse. I would say that Fury was rocked even worse, and they still let that fight continue. Why? Because it's a boxer against boxer. But now, because it's a kickboxer against the boxer, and he's doing well, and they don't want it to look bad in their sport, they want to rob Rico of this. Again, even if Rico would have went out there in the 12th round and got knocked out, still, that would have been a better result than this, because now, again, this taints both the fighters are withheld from what they deserve. People are throwing shade at Usyk even though he doesn't deserve the shade. Like, it wasn't his fault that, you know, he went for the attack and the referee stopped the fight. But, like, people are now, like, saying stuff about Usyk, and people are, you know, obviously discrediting his win. And then Rico, again, he was doing really well in this fight. And knowing his recoverability, the fact that they do not give him time to recover. And again, I know the whole argument, like, oh, he had the 20 seconds with the mouthpiece. Again, that was the referee's fault. This referee is to blame for everything. He's the one that made that call. He's the one that made the call to stop this fight prematurely. Horrible. Horrible, horrible. Fire this guy immediately. Effective immediately. What is this guy doing? What is this guy doing? Why is this guy a referee? He is clearly unfit to referee. Hello, this is a Future Reaper here. So I did a little bit more research on the guy who does the reffing. Apparently he's very, like, they assigned him to a lot of high profile fights, and, you know, it's after the fact that I made the video. But I'm not gonna say, like, take this guy's job away, but the fact that, like, this is these guys' legacies and livelihoods, and, like, what, like, for some, like, a fight this big, the fact that he stopped it like that is just almost amateurish to me. Like, how are you such a high profile ref? How are you, you know, so many fights that you've reffed, and you're in all of these high profile fights where you're reffing, and you somehow do this? No. Like, either you need to hang it up now, either you're not, like, as good of a ref as you once were, or you knew you had to do this because boxing did not want a kickboxer to come in and defeat their champion. So that's all I got to say about that. One last note for, from Future Reaper. Probably the only little note I'll have in. The rest is going to be me when I just recorded the video. But, yeah, let's continue. I just cannot believe Rico Verhoeven was on the brink of becoming one of the greatest fighters in history. And he's already one of the greatest. If you watch kickboxing, you already know how good this guy Rico is. And for him to come into a completely different sport, obviously, kickboxing and boxing is completely different. It's completely different. For him to go up against the champion in a completely different sport. And this, there's no, I know people are going to say, oh, Usyk, he wasn't training like he usually does. And Usyk literally said that he was going to treat this as a regular, fight for him. That he was going to treat this seriously. This isn't a Fury, Tyson Fury, didn't train at all and he looked horrible against Francis Ngannou. Even that fight was a disgrace too. Francis Ngannou knocks down Fury. Francis Ngannou arguably beats Fury. Some of these fights that, the boxing matches that have been happening, some of these boxing matches makes boxing look like a complete joke. And this sends everything over the hill. This sends everything over the hill. This was a complete joke of a fight. And I don't just mean the stoppage. This is a complete joke of a fight for the fact that the scorecards looked like this. This image is of what the scorecards were up until this point. What the judges had scored this fight officially. What they were going to score it officially if it had, continued to go the distance. This is an absolute joke of a fight. And I don't mean the actual fight. I mean the scoring. I mean the judges and the referee. Boxing is the most corrupt sport I've ever seen. There have been horrible decisions in the UFC, okay? John Jones versus Reyes, horrible decision. Arman Sarukian versus Gamrot, even though that was a pretty close fight, I would say that was a really bad decision. There have been so many bad decisions. Paddy Pimblett versus Jared Gordon, horrible decision. There have been so many bad decisions in the UFC. Alright, this is a Future Reaper here again. I did not expect to be coming back and making another little note, but I was editing this video. As you can see, I'm in let me show you. I'm in DaVinci Resolve, which is what I use to edit all my videos. So go in here. I don't know why, but it's just I put this picture in and I saw, why is Paddy Pimblett's right leg so huge compared to his left leg? I don't know if it's just the angle. Why? Y'all see this, don't you? The size of his right leg is literally twice the size of his left leg. I don't know why. I just had to call this out because I put the image in here. I was like, oh, okay, search for a Paddy Pimblett versus Jared Gordon image to just set it on the screen, and then I see how big his leg is, and I'm like, wait a minute, why is his leg look like that? Why is it legitimately twice the size? I just a little tangent right here, a little off track, side tangent, but what is happening here? But anyways, I just wanted to point detail to that right there. But let me go back to talking about Rico versus Usyk. The round I want to point most to is round 8. Round 8, how they score round 8. All three of the judges unanimously give round 8 to Usyk. Now I'm going to put on screen what the numbers were. This is a complete joke. They give all three of them, give it to Usyk. This is a complete joke. He was down on the numbers. He was down on the power punches, down on the jabs, and they unanimously give that round to Usyk. Answer me this. How did Usyk win that? Based on the judging criteria. How did Usyk win that round? And how did all three judges unanimously give that round to Usyk as he is down on every single number on that scorecard, huh? Absolute joke. The fact that they had it tied. I had Rico up, let me see, I had Rico up maybe 2 to 3 rounds up on Usyk. This was disgusting. This was disgusting. I just can't put it into words. I had never expected, like, when I heard about this fight, I was like, dang, well, you know, I was hoping that Rico was gonna come into UFC. You know, there were rumors that he was gonna come to UFC, and I was like, man, that sucks that he's going into boxing, but hey, good for him. He's gonna make money. But I didn't think he had a chance. And I probably should have thought, like, but then again, it's like, is against Usyk. And I hold Usyk so highly. I hold him as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. Like, no, Usyk is up there. He is one of the greatest. Like, and I know there's like there's a difference between also skill and like greatness. Muhammad Ali, obviously, his greatness surpasses, you know, everybody in heavyweight boxing. But skill-wise, I'd pick Usyk any day to beat Muhammad Ali. And I know, like, some boxing fans may see that and be like, oh, how could you pick... Come on now. We do we think that boxers have not gotten better? I mean, sure, there's people like, you know, Deontay Wilder, who doesn't have great technique, but has just, like, power. But, like, people like guys like Usyk... Skill for skill, I would pick him to be Muhammad Ali, okay? Straight up. And no disrespect to Muhammad Ali. He was a great athlete. He was a great boxer. One of the greatest of all time as well. But skill for skill, I would pick Usyk. And did Usyk look the best in this fight? I wouldn't say so, no. He looked a little heavier. He didn't look as, you know, movement-free as he usually does. But am I going to say that he was just completely, you know, washed, or that he was just completely not training for this fight? No, I'm not going to give him any excuses for that. Rico was doing great in there. And Usyk, again, he had his moments. He had great uppercuts. He had some great moments in this fight. But Rico was winning this fight. And the fact that the judges had this tied, and the fact that they were, you know, if they had this tied, Rico would have, you know, lost this round. Usyk would have gotten a 10-8 round. The judges were going to rob Rico either way. Disgusting to me. This is why I'm not a fan of boxing. This and the fact that, like, so many fights are boring. Like, the UFC is 500 times more exciting than boxing. This is why I'm never going to look at a boxing match, especially one like this where it's like a crossover, and see it as, ooh, maybe that guy will win. It doesn't matter what they do. They will never win unless they are also a boxer. Disgraceful from the boxing. Disgraceful from the judges. Disgraceful from the referee. Get him out of here. Get the judges out of here. Horrible. Rico Verhoeven is trying to get this appealed since he was stopped after the bell. It's most likely not going to happen. Because they don't want the sport to look bad, even though it already looks bad with this, how this outcome came. But, yeah, I just had to make a video about this. It's not going to be too much editing, but I just had to, because even though I'm not, like, the biggest Rico I like Rico, but I'm not, like, a crazy kickboxer fan. I don't watch all these kickboxing events. I don't watch kickboxing. I mainly watch UFC. I mainly watch MMA. Every now and then, you know, I'll watch a kickboxing match, or I'll watch a jiu-jitsu match, or I'll watch a boxing match. If Rico would have gone the distance, all 12 rounds with Usyk, that alone would have been amazing. Because it's the fact that Usyk has knocked out these other, like, you know, Dubois. He's KO'd Dubois twice. And Dubois is one of, you know, the top heavyweight boxers currently, who, you know, he has all this experience in boxing. The fact that Rico would have made all 12 rounds against Usyk and made it this close to, even if they would have robbed him, the fact that even the fact that they had it tied, the fact that he was doing this good against Usyk, it would have been monumental. There's nothing much more to say. You know, the scorecards, the numbers, the stoppage, everything. I've gone through everything I wanted to say. Hope Rico comes back. You know, I don't think they're gonna do a rematch, and even in a rematch, I would probably pick Usyk. I'd probably pick Usyk in a rematch, and I know that's, you know, kind of crazy after me saying all of this, but it's not that I, like, discredit Usyk. Like, Usyk is still rated highly for me. He's a great boxer. And again, you know, if Rico would have been knocked out, I don't care if he would have gotten stopped in the 12th round, or if he would have lost on points. The fact that this was stopped so prematurely and so horribly, and with something this important, because not only is it all, like, the title on the line, but if Rico were to have won this, he would have been noticed as one of, if not the greatest combat athlete of all time, becoming a champion in his second fight in boxing while also being the 10-year undefeated champion in Glory Kickboxing, which is the greatest kickboxing promotion currently out. That has been the greatest kickboxing promotion for some time now. The fact that he had his record in kickboxing and he came over, and like the fact that if he could have won this belt against Usyk of all people, someone who's undefeated with all these great wins on his resume, absolute trash, absolute trash. But I'm done ranting. I'm done ranting. This was a big, rant video. If you like the video, if you like the video, show some love. Smash that like button. Smash the subscribe button. Comment down below what your thoughts are about the fight. If you think I'm wrong, if you think I'm right. If you think I'm wrong, then I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I'll probably argue with you in the comments, but that's all I gotta say. So see y'all in the next video. Peace.